I want you to picture something for a second. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. You're in a farmhouse, rural Montana.
Super early.
And if you've never been out that way, 5:00 a.m. isn't just early, it is pitch black. A heavy, silent kind of darkness.
The kind where the only light is, the stars and maybe a single porch light cutting through the mist.
Exactly. Inside, it's quiet. You can smell fresh coffee, maybe some wood smoke from the stove. You're 63, a widow, just waiting for the sun to come up. It's your ritual.
And then the phone rings.
The silence is just shattered.
And let's be honest, a landline ringing at 5 in the morning, that is never, ever good news. It triggers a kind of primal panic.
It does. This is where we meet Alexia Foster. She picks up the phone, heart pounding, and it's her grandson, Danny. He's 19, away at college.
Usually a pretty carefree kid.
Right, but his voice, he's terrified. He's practically whispering. And he gives her one instruction. It's not get out of the house. It's not call the police.
So much stranger than that. He says, don't wear your red coat today.
Don't wear your red coat. That one sentence is the thread that unravels this entire conspiracy. Because Alexia, she is famous for this cherry red wool coat. It's her signature.
She wears it for a reason, right? So she can be seen on those dark country roads when she walks to the bus stop.
Exactly. It's a safety measure that has suddenly become a target. So Alexia, shaken by the sheer terror in Danny's voice, she listens. She leaves the red coat on the hook. She grabs this old stained brown barn jacket instead.
And she goes about her day.
She walks to her usual bus stop at 9 a.m. And when she gets there, the world is just turned upside down.
This is the moment where reality just fractures. She finds police tape, flashing lights, Sheriff Tom Brennan is there, and there's a body on the ground.
Right where Alexia usually stands.
Every single morning.
And here's the detail that will absolutely haunt you. The victim is a woman named Rachel Morrison, and she is wearing a bright cherry red coat almost identical to Alexia's.
So if you were looking through a scope or watching from a parked car down the road, that victim was Alexia.
That's the hook for today's deep dive. We are unpacking the story of Alexia Foster. This isn't just a story about a grandmother dodging a bullet. It's about how she took a terrifying targeted assassination attempt and used it to tear down a massive criminal conspiracy.
And what makes this case so compelling to me is that it starts as a thriller, a hitman mistaken identity, but it turns into a masterclass on real estate fraud and the systemic abuse of the elderly. It forces us to look at how vulnerable our property rights really are.
So let's get into the investigation. The police are at the scene. Alexia's alive, obviously, but she's staring at a dead woman who, from behind, looks just like her. Who was Rachel Morrison?
Well, initially she just looks like a tragic bystander, but Rachel was 28 and she worked at the county records office.
Okay.
Now, that might sound like a mundane job, but in the world of property theft, the records office is the vault. It's where everything is made official.
And the police find something in Rachel's pocket that changes everything. They call it the smoking gun.
It was a property deed. Specifically, a deed transferring Alexia's farm, her home of 40 years, the land she survived droughts and economic collapses, to keep transferring it directly to her son, Robert, and his wife, Vanessa.
And Alexia takes one look at this document and says, I never signed that.
It was a forgery, and not a bad one either. But this brings us to the family dynamic, which is, let's just say, toxic doesn't quite cover it.
Right.
You have Alexia, the resilient matriarch. You have Robert, the son, who the case files literally describe as having no backbone, totally passive.
And then you have Vanessa, the daughter-in-law.
The architect of this whole nightmare. Vanessa runs Summit Properties. She's a high-end real estate agent, drives a pristine white Lexus, completely obsessed with status, and she views Alexia's farm not as a family legacy, but as a plot of land to be subdivided for condos.
The sources on this are just infuriating. Before the murder attempt, there was this whole campaign of psychological warfare.
Oh.
Vanessa would come over for Sunday dinner, acting all sweet, but she'd slide documents in between the dinner plates. Insurance forms, tax papers.
And buried in the stack would be transfer documents.
It's gaslighting, plain and simple. When Alexia would catch her or question a document, Vanessa would just flip the script. She'd say, oh, Mom, you're confused, or you're getting paranoid.
She was actively trying to make Alexia believe she was losing her mind.
Which is such a dangerous predatory tactic, because if you can convince the victim they're crazy, nobody listens when they scream for help.
Exactly. But Vanessa hit a wall Alexia wasn't breaking. So Vanessa decided to bypass Alexia entirely. and that's why she needed Rachel Morrison.
To get someone on the inside.
To steal a property, you need someone on the inside to record the fake deed and make it look official in the county ledger.
So Rachel was the insider. But if Rachel was helping Vanessa, why is Rachel dead?
That is the big twist. Rachel wasn't an innocent victim. She was an accomplice who got greedy.
This brings us back to Danny, the grandson, the one who made that 500 a.m. call. He's been in hiding, terrified. But he reaches out to Alexia again.
And I love this part. He uses a code phrase to prove it's him.
Remember the strawberry summer?
It sounds so cinematic, doesn't it?
It does, but it's actually really practical tradecraft. In an era where texts can be spoofed or phones hacked,
Yeah.
how do you verify identity?
You use a shared sensory memory. It referred to a summer when Danny was 7, planting strawberries with his grandmother. It told Alexia, "This is really me, and I am safe to trust."
So Alexia, who is realizing she can't trust the local authorities yet, she shakes a processional tail, someone Vanessa hired to watch her,
How?
by driving down these old logging roads she knows by heart. She meets Danny at an abandoned grain mill at midnight.
Talk about atmosphere.
Right.
But this is where Danny drops the bombshell. He reveals that he had been dating Rachel Morrison,
The victim.
the victim. But the relationship was a total lie. Vanessa had actually hired Rachel to get close to Danny, to date him, specifically to get access to the farmhouse.
To find the original deed to the land.
Exactly.
That is absolutely heart-wrenching for a 19-year-old kid. Finding out his girlfriend was basically a corporate spy.
It shattered him, but here's what happened. Rachel realized the scale of the theft. She realized Vanessa was going to make millions.
And Rachel was just getting a flat fee.
Right. She got greedy. She put evidence of the fraud on a thumb drive and tried to blackmail Vanessa.
So Vanessa, the respectable real estate agent, put a hit out on her own, inside woman.
That's it. Rachel stole Alexia's red coat from the farmhouse to disguise herself, trying to sneak out to meet someone, maybe even Alexia, to use the info. But the hitman saw the red coat, assumed it was the target, and fired.
So there they are at the mill, Alexia and Danny. They finally have the truth. But then headlights sweep across the walls. They've been found.
Vanessa shows up, and she's not alone. She has a deputy with her, Marcus Hall.
A corrupt cop.
This is the moment where most people would just crumble. You're an older woman, you're cornered in an abandoned mill by your daughter-in-law and a man with a badge and a gun. But this is where Vanessa's arrogance becomes her downfall. She thinks she has won, she steps out of the car, and she essentially starts monologuing.
She confesses to the fraud, admits to the hit on Rachel, calling it a cleanup, and tells Alexia, "You're going to have a tragic accident tonight."
She treats Alexia like she's already dead, like she's a helpless, senile old woman.
Big mistake.
Huge mistake, because Alexia isn't helpless. She pulls out her phone. She hasn't just been recording. She's been on an open call with Sheriff Tom Brennan, one of the few good guys, live streaming the audio the entire time.
The police kick down the doors, arrest Vanessa, arrest the crooked deputy. It feels like the end of the movie, right?
You would think so. And in a movie, the credits would roll. But this is the American legal system, and what happens next is arguably scarier than the guy with the gun.
Because Vanessa has money.
Loads of it. She posts bail, $200,000 cash, immediately. She walks out of jail the next morning. And she doesn't run, she attacks.
Her lawyers file for a competency hearing against Alexia.
This is the part that just makes my blood boil. Vanessa is charged with conspiracy to commit murder, yet her lawyers argue that Alexia is unstable, paranoid, and mentally unfit to manage her estate.
They try to use the legal system to strip the victim of her rights.
Exactly. So if they win, Vanessa could potentially get power of attorney over the woman she just tried to kill.
Theoretically, yes. Or get a court-appointed guardian who Vanessa could manipulate. It's called predatory guardianship. If successful, Vanessa could legally sell the farm while the criminal trial is delayed.
It's a systemic loophole that predators use all the time.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's weaponizing the court system. So Alexia and Danny realize they can't just wait for the prosecutor, they have to go on the offensive.
They start digging into Vanessa's company, Summit Development.
And this is where the scope of the crime just explodes.
They find out this wasn't an isolated incident. In just 2 years, Summit Development acquired 11 properties, all from elderly owners.
And the survival rate of those owners.
Chilling. 4 of the previous owners died under suspicious circumstances. Falls downstairs, sudden heart attacks, car accidents, usually within weeks of the sale.
So Vanessa isn't just a fraudster. She is running a serial killing operation disguised as a real estate brokerage.
Effectively, yes. It's a granny snatching scheme on a lethal scale. Target the vulnerable, steal the asset, remove the obstacle.
And she wasn't working alone.
No. They discover that Peter Mitchell, the lawyer who had been representing Robert and Alexia for years, was a silent partner in Summit.
The call is coming from inside the house. The family lawyer was feeding intel to Vanessa the whole time.
It validates everything Alexia felt. People called her paranoid, but paranoia is just a heightened state of awareness when you know something is wrong. She was right. She was surrounded.
But they have a problem. The evidence. The thumb drive Danny got from Rachel, the one she died for, is encrypted.
Military-grade encryption. The local police cyber unit can't crack it. The DA tells them flat out, without the files on that drive, the murder charges against Vanessa might not stick.
So she could plead down to simple fraud, do a few years in a club-fed prison, and keep the money.
Exactly. They need the password. Or the original source files.
So they have to profile Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Who was she really? Why did she get involved in this?
They dig into her background and find this really disturbing connection. 6 years ago, Vanessa defrauded a woman named Martha Hartley in a town called Red Lodge.
Martha Hartley.
Yeah.
That was Rachel's grandmother.
Yes. Rachel watched Vanessa destroy her own grandmother, steal her ranch, and in some twisted psychological response, Rachel joined Vanessa. Maybe she thought, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. Or maybe she was coerced.
But Alexia figures out the hiding spot based on this.
Alexia realizes that Rachel, deep down, must have had a backup plan, a conscience. She figures if Rachel hid a master key, an unencrypted drive, she would hide it somewhere that mattered to her.
Not a bank.
No, the place where she was happy before Vanessa ruined everything. The abandoned Hartley Ranch in Red Lodge.
So the team assembles. Alexia, Danny, and finally Robert.
Robert finally wakes up. He realizes his wife is a monster. He files for divorce and joins his mother. They drive to Red Lodge,
They search the old barn, and in a horse stall they find it.
a stall named Starlight. Inside, there's a box with a hard drive. And the password, taped to the box, is Starlight 1997.
Her childhood horse, a final touch of humanity.
Right. But just as they grab the drive, history repeats itself. Vanessa shows up.
She's desperate now. She's out on bail, but she knows the walls are closing in. She tracked them. She arrives with her lawyer, Peter Mitchell, and some hired muscle.
And she's confident because she knows the local patrol car has been called away on some other emergency.
This is the final showdown. Barn, dust motes in the light, Vanessa blocking the exit. She thinks she has Alexia cornered again.
And this brings us to the core theme of this whole deep dive. Wisdom versus arrogance. Vanessa relies on brute force, on her money. She looks at Alexia and she just sees a frail old woman holding a box.
But Alexia pulls the ultimate power move. She isn't just recording audio this time.
No. She points to a hay bale behind her. Her phone is propped up. She is live streaming video.
Dude.
Not just the sheriff. She's broadcasting to the local news tip line, the FBI field office, and the state police.
And that missing patrol car.
That was a trap Alexia set. She faked the emergency call elsewhere to lure Vanessa in, making her feel safe to attack, while state troopers were actually moving in on foot through the woods.
The barn doors slide open, and it's over. SWAT team. Vanessa is arrested on camera. Her lawyer is arrested.
And this time, with the decrypted drive linking her to the 4 other deaths, there is no bail. The entire empire just crumbles.
It is such a satisfying resolution. Vanessa eventually takes a plea deal life without parole, just to avoid the death penalty. Her assets are seized to pay back the families of her victims.
Justice is served. But I think we need to look at the cost. We gave Robert a hard time earlier, and rightfully so, but his arc is important.
Yeah, he apologizes to Alexia in the transcripts. He says, I chose her over you so many times because it was easier.
That's a brutal admission. It was easier. It just highlights how apathy enables abuse. You have to live with that guilt, even though he helped in the end.
And Danny. He has to process that his first love was a complete lie.
That's a scar that doesn't heal quickly. But the source material leaves us with a hopeful image. Danny and Alexia, back at the farm, replanting that strawberry patch.
Rebuilding.
Exactly. But there's one detail I just can't shake, the red coat.
Yeah, Alexia never wears it again.
She hangs it on a hook in the barn, and it just stays there.
What do you think that represents?
Vigilance. It's a reminder that survival sometimes means changing your routine. It means shedding the very thing that makes you a target. She loved that coat, but she loved living more.
It really forces you to ask the question, how many Vanessas are out there? I mean, we saw how easy the paperwork was to forge. We saw how the legal system almost helped her steal the farm even after she was arrested.
That's the lingering horror. Alexia fought back. She had a loyal grandson. She had sharp instincts. But how many elderly people are sitting in nursing homes right now having lost their homes to a summit development, and everyone just assumes they sold it willingly?
That is a terrifying thought.
It is. If there is one takeaway from this deep dive, it's this. Check the records. If you have elderly parents, check their property deeds online. It's public record. Just make sure the house is still in their name.
Solid advice. We like to think these things happen in movies, but this happened down a dirt road in Montana.
Indeed. Never underestimate the vulnerability of the system, and never, ever underestimate the resilience of someone who has nothing left to lose.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. The story of the grandmother who refused to be a victim and the red coat that started it all.
Stay vigilant.
Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay curious, and hey, check your coat pockets. We'll see you next time.